Today, I invite you to reflect on the last line of the gospel reading, where Jesus says, "There are some of you here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." Well, normally we understand the coming of the kingdom of God to mean the end of the world. So, what did Jesus mean about, there being those who will not taste death and see the coming of the Son of Man in his kingdom? In English, there is a way of expressing your feeling about experiencing within your lifetime things that are beyond your imagination. You can say, "I never thought I would live to see the day." Is Jesus saying that it is possible for people to experience the kingdom of God within their own lifetime? Well, in the context of the new tension that is now happening between China and Taiwan after the recent visit of Senator Pelosi in Taiwan, we cannot but start fearing the possibility of another global conflict erupting. A conflict that can get the Philippines involved, given the fact that we are just a next-door neighbor of Taiwan, and China has already set up some military installations in the West Philippine Sea. Will China do to Taiwan what Russia has not yet finished doing to Ukraine in Eastern Europe? Will the United States drag its allies in Asia to an armed confrontation with China? These are very scary times, to say the least. Each time something like this is happening, the dream of a global peace, as prophesied by Isaiah, is becoming more volatile. In the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 4, the prophet is predicting, foretelling a time of peace when nations shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Ang kanilang mga espada papandayin at gagawing mga pang-araro, at ang kanilang mga sundang ay gagawing mga karet. And he says, when that time comes, one nation shall no longer raise the sword against another, nor shall they train for war ever again. Panahon na wala ng digmaan. But what we are seeing now seems to be the opposite. And since we know that war is what the arms industries need most in order to promote their lucrative business, alam niyo ho, negosyo ang giyera. Mabenta ang mga armas. It will mean governments will be pressured again to allot bigger budgets for military defense. It will mean nations relying more and more on weapons for their national security rather than relying on diplomacy, dialogue, and peaceful negotiations. It will mean bigger nations asserting their supremacy again over the smaller ones on the basis of the principle of might is right. It will mean starting all over again, since the last trauma of a world war that has already forced us to come up with international rules and policies in order to consciously avoid war. It's like going back to square one. Just when we have started to behave as a civilized community of nations, mutually respectful of the freedom and sovereignty of every fellow nation, big or small. Ang first reading natin ngayon is actually predicting a good news. Buti na lang. The coming of peace for Judah. But sadly, that peace came only for a brief moment. They were saved from invasion by the Assyrian Empire, but they were later invaded by the Babylonian Empire. And Jerusalem, which was really destroyed by the Babylonians, would be destroyed again by the Romans just a few centuries later. The holy city of Jerusalem. In Hebrew, Jerusalem is Yerushalayim. At alam niyo ang ibig sabihin? The city of peace. Ironically, it is a city that has not known peace for a long, long time. And it is the city where Jesus had been violently executed on the cross. And it is Jesus who assures us that we do not really have to wait until the end of the world to know peace, to experience God's kingdom already present among us. For Jesus, the only kind of advocates who can really work for peace in this world are not those who resort to violence, not those who rely on arms and weapons, and certainly not those who are too eager to sacrifice other people, especially the poor, on the altars of modern civilizations. Rather, it is those who have no other life to offer than their own lives. Those who are ready to deny themselves, to take up their cross and follow in the footsteps of the only one who can bring about lasting peace in this world, the only one who can give us what I call a foretaste of the kingdom of God.